Good evening. It is now 6:30, and I will call the Monday, May 8th, 2017 Burnsville Planning Commission meeting to order. Commissioners, thank you for your time this evening.
Sure.
Staff, thank you very much. Our first item this evening is the adoption of tonight's agenda. Commissioners, do you have any changes or addition to tonight's posted agenda? None from commissioner, staff?
No changes.
No changes from staff. Commissioners, I would stand for a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benke. Second by Commissioner Workman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. Our second item this evening is the approval of the minutes of the April 24th, 2017 Planning Commission. Commissioners, any comments or changes to the agenda in our background?
Agenda or minutes?
The minutes from our, thank you. Sorry about that. Commissioner Benke,
Yeah,
what page?
I'm sorry, it was the monument sign ordinance. And I was a little unclear with the punctuation about the actual, what was actually, I know that you referred to the options, but the punctuation in here was just throwing me off, I guess. 2 signs allowed for properties under 10 acres, 4 signs allowed for properties over 10 acres. Oh, I know what, yeah, so the 300-foot distance requirement, the word foot is missing.
Okay.
And that is, the way it reads, it's on all properties. So even on, okay, so if there's 4 separate items in this,
Yes,
okay,
Okay.
cool.
we would make those corrections.
Commissioners, other comments on the minutes from our previous meeting? Staff?
No other changes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I beg to move the approval of the minutes with the correction.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Singh, second by Commissioner Benke. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. That brings us to the third item this evening. It is a public hearing. It's an application to amend City Code Title III Business Regulations to add a new chapter regulating special events and proposing to amend City Code Title 10 Zoning, Chapter 30 Signs related to special events. Presenting this evening is Ms. Dean. Ms. Dean, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair, members of the commission. This is a proposed change to address Title 10, again, specifically the sign section of the city code. Just a little bit of background history. This was a 2016 item that originated, and just something we didn't get to, and now we're in 2017, so we're actively addressing right now in front of you. This has received some policy direction from City Council. Staff was actually at City Council on 3 different occasions at different work sessions. And this, I should kind of back up a little bit. The request not only deals with signs or special events within that section of the code, but it's also a creation of a new chapter under business regulations that deals with events within public right-of-way and also events such as block parties. So all of that was part of this discussion that went in front of council. So it was something that staff wanted to address for purposes of customer service internally and externally as well. We had a lot going on, and so this was a result to pull information that was either not codified, that was not in a formal policy, and was within a section of code that really didn't make sense, and the result was to pull everything together, put it into one nice concise spot within the city code. So this language that was included in your packet has had many eyes on it, has been vetted through our various city departments that deal with special events like planning, our fire department, our police department, our public works department, our licensing people as well. So just a brief summary of what's proposed or what's part of this amendment. So it would be to remove the language that's within that Title 10, Chapter 30 signs. If you look in that section of the code, you'll see a language that talks about special events, and it really doesn't, from our standpoint, make sense for it to be in there. Signs are fine if they're temporary, but it was like, how did this end up here in the first place? So our goal is to pull that out. Keep it largely the same as far as definitions that we use, the process that we use, the specifications and performance standards, again, but just lifting that out and placing it in this new business regulations section. The new language will also address things like, again, events within right-of-way, neighborhood block parties, provide performance standards, permit criteria, and also provides the city opportunity to review and deny an application if it doesn't meet specific performance standards. But I would urge you as a planning commission, your role is to focus on the portion of the code that's removing the language within the sign section of the code. Your purview is over that Title 10. And so we're asking you as a planning commission, do you agree that this should be removed and placed into this new section? And are you okay with that proposal? So we're seeking a recommendation specifically on that. So from a staff standpoint, we certainly recommend to the planning commission approval of the proposed ordinance as presented. Certainly, if you have any questions of the specifics, I can certainly stand for those.
Thank you, Ms. Dina.
You're welcome.
Just maybe to add some clarity, I think it's some good examples if the commission hasn't seen them. I think I was at the work session as an example, an event with Walzer might run. There's the Burkhards Road between Nissan and the Honda dealership. And they have the property on both sides, and they may want to apply and have an event that uses something in the right-of-way.
Right. Chair, we were approached by a car dealership to basically shut down a portion of their street and hold a special event. And so when city staff looked at our ordinances, there wasn't really anything that applied. And so we went to council for direction to see if that's something that they would support, an event, a sale, a customer appreciation type event within right-of-way. And they said, it kind of depends. It depends on the situation. Is it a busy road that accommodates heavy traffic? Is it a cul-de-sac? Is it a, what do other businesses surrounding that property think? Do they have a way-in? Or do they have what's their position? Does this pose a concern with our police and fire services? And so part of that language that's proposed in the code, this new code language, helps to address that. So it's not just a yes or no, it's a yes if you meet this criteria, or no, here's the reasons why. And of course, there's exceptions as well for events like legacy events or other community events that are spelled out and at the discretion of the city engineer. And again, that's all spelled out in the proposed language.
And once again, commissioners, our piece here is it appropriate that it gets removed from the sign ordinance is really all we're concerned about, so. Commissioners, questions of staff?
Just one.
Commissioner Levy had his hand up first.
I don't understand why our concern is only the removal of the sign language to this, from where it is to the new part. It sounds like the new part is also, would also be a part of our concern.
Commissioner Levy, the sign ordinance is part of land use and what we have responsibility for. We don't have responsibility for special events. So that's why it's not our, everything else that Ms. Dean spoke about and was in our background about how it's going to be managed is really not our focus. Our focus, at some point, as we were writing the city ordinance, it landed under a sign ordinance probably because it would take a fair amount of signage to block the street off. But all of that's covered, if you remember, in their background in another way, so that's what this is.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
That's it, thank you.
Commissioner Benke, you had a question?
Yeah, and basically, it's just a question of a little explanation before this leaves our purview, and it's under the definition of special events. And I realize this has been talked about amongst many parts of our city staff here. Just curious, the way, again, it's written, school, I'm starting about 3/4 of the way through, school or daycare registration.
He's on the actual
Oh,
ordinance.
the ordinance, I'm sorry. Or employee celebration, or recognition event, whether conducted on private property, public property, or city right of way. And I guess, again, with the punctuation, does recognition event extend to something like a graduation party?
If the event was held within your typical residential street, it would fall under the block party provisions. If it were, we were approached by UTC, for example, and have been in the past, and they closed down a portion of their street to hold a recognition type event between their property and then their property across the street, which is actually a park that we
Rose
lease.
Park.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
So that would fall under the closed right-of-way type of permit, not your typical residential block party.
Okay, so.
So I guess it depends.
So I mean, if the graduation party was sized such that they needed street closure or a cul-de-sac closure or something because of the sheer number, but a typical graduation party where basically it's open house and people come and go, that doesn't get covered here?
That would fall under the block party
So technically,
type of performance
so
standards.
technically now we're asking, will it extend that far then, that somebody having a graduation party needs to have a permit?
Correct. And they do today. If someone were to hold a block party, we would require them to go through our engineering department and ask for a permit to essentially close the right-of-way and get cones and things like that. So technically, yes, today they have to. The only difference is there's no city code or no formal policy that addresses that. So we want to put provisions in place.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Levy?
But I'm not sure that you answered the question that he asked.
But
Well,
his
no,
question has nothing to do with what, I mean,
Well, no, I'm just looking for the definition of this, and it's not gonna change whether or not it leaves zoning, or, because that's what the chair talked about, is, we look at zoning, and this is a zoning thing in right now because it's in the sign ordinance. As soon as it moves, it's in the business, special events under business, business regulations. And I was just looking for a little clarification. So it's really not gonna change my opinion, it's just I was looking at how extensive things were looked at.
I have the same question,
Yeah.
though. I have a graduation party. I don't close the street, but I get a lot of people coming and going, parking on the street. Does that need a permit?
It would, I would say, as described, it would qualify as a residential neighborhood block party. There is a permit that's required, and there are provisions that are proposed that speak to the type of street that you can have the block party on, noise, blocking fire hydrants, alcohol.
and I think we've gotten off, but I want to
That's
clarify
right. Again,
what
I'm-
Commissioner Levy said was, if he has a graduation party and there are people just parking in the street, they're not blocking the street, it's normal pathways up and down the street, that does not. What Ms. Dean is talking about is simply when the street has to be closed.
That's correct.
That's
Thank you for the
okay.
clarification.
Okay.
Thank you for the
That helps.
clarification.
That
Yes,
helps.
Okay.
that is
Okay.
correct.
The street has to be closed.
That is
Got it.
correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
now, that makes sense.
Commissioners, other questions? Hearing none, I have to hold a public hearing. I almost forgot that. Deb kicked me under the table. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak to this item, I would ask them to step up and speak to this item. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, other questions? If not, I would stand for a motion.
Sure.
Chair.
Commissioner, oh,
I was gonna make the motion.
Go, no,
ahead, go ahead.
go ahead.
Commissioner Walter, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the proposed ordinance changes to the City Council as presented.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second by Commissioner Benke? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. The fourth item on our agenda this evening is also a public hearing. It's the application of the City of Burnsville to amend Title 10 zoning, Chapter 30, Subchapter 6D, leasing banners to remove the reference to the STAR program. Presenting on this item this evening is Ms. Garros. Welcome to the podium, and thank you for your attendance. You have the floor.
Thank you, Commissioners. The leasing banner provisions, this is somewhat similar to what Ms. Dean had talked about. In this case, what we are requesting is an ordinance amendment. Again, this gets to the sign ordinance, which is part of the zoning code. And we are asking to, for the Planning Commission to recommend deleting references for leasing banners related to the STAR program. The STAR program was a program that was initiated in 2005. It dealt with safer tenants and rentals program. We have since then adapted, and we have a new code enforcement and licensing division that deals with these items. Under a separate ordinance, the city council will be considering updates to other titles of the city code outside the zoning ordinance and sign regulations to delete references to that STAR program. They're basically just getting rid of the program because we have other licensing provisions that are now in place that that program is no longer needed. So in this case, what we have for the ordinance is this is a provision that's, again, part of the zoning ordinance. And leasing banners, what happened with the STAR program is it was a program that set up best management practices and also tried to provide incentives for rental communities, apartment owners, et cetera, to meet higher standards, if you will, trying to make sure that their tenants are acting orderly and working with the police and all sorts of things. So one of the items that was made available to encourage participation was that the apartments that participated would be eligible for additional signage, and that came in the form of these leasing banners. So all we are requesting this evening is this would be a public hearing, and we're requesting to modify the sign ordinance language to remove reference to the STAR program because that's going away. And with that, I can stand for questions.
Commissioners, any questions for staff? None? Okay, this is a public hearing. At this time, I would like to open a public hearing and ask anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this item to step up to the podium and give us your name and address for the record. Seeing no one coming to the podium, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, additional comments? Otherwise, I would stand for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would like to recommend to the City Council approve the ordinance as presented.
I have a motion by Commissioner Workman.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benke. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
This brings us to item number 5. Tonight is a public hearing application for, and I'm sorry, I always check this, fast food? How do you pronounce the? Okay, LLC, I apologize, I always try to look at that in Planned Unit Development Amendment to allow a sports performance training center for Concord Ninja Warrior at 3203 Corporate Center Drive. Ms. Garros, you have the floor. Sorry I butchered that.
Thank you. That's okay. I'm not positive that I would do much better. For this application, this is a plan unit development amendment. And the reason that we're here this evening is for a sports performance facility. Those are allowed as conditional uses typically in the I-3 zoning district. In this case, we have a planned unit development zoning that was established a number of years ago. And specifically within that PUD agreement, they indicated that the only uses allowed for the building that they're proposing to locate in would be office, warehouse, and storage, or I believe, if I get that correct here. It would be used for office, warehouse, and manufacturing uses only. So we are before you this evening with the applicant requesting to amend that PUD to allow a sports performance facility as another type of use within the subject site. The property is, as I indicated, zoned I-3, which is our office and industrial park. The property itself has been divided. There's long history of various activities that have happened with these lots, and the property has also been condoed. Where we're looking this evening is on the screen. It would be the northern building. The two buildings are actually separate, owned separately, have a zero lot line, but they are two buildings on this property. The applicant, this is another visual, gives you a little bit broader picture. We are about a block south of County Road 42, which runs east-west here to the north. And then this site here has access from 143rd Circle to the southerly building. And then to this building, access is off of Corporate Center Drive. And there are separate parking available on the site in this area, and this area has their own separate parking arrangement. So we're talking about going into the northerly building. Just for reference purposes, one of the performance standards for sports performance facilities talks about not having issues with pedestrian crossings and where the loading areas are. The loading area for this site is located here on the southwest corner of the building. So you have trucks that can come in and load here, and there will not be interference with people accessing the building. The existing, this is the existing building elevation from the plans that were approved, and basically the sports performance for Ninja is looking to locate in this part of the building. And this provides kind of a visual of some of the equipment. For Ninja Warrior, what they provide is they provide classes, training and fitness classes. They also provide a venue for if you have corporate activities or if people want to get together and have an event, you can go here. And what they offer are a number of different obstacle type courses or equipment for people to use for fun and also for their training and fitness purposes. They're looking to occupy a little over 7,500 square feet of space. They have proposed, on this graphic, the one to the left shows how the buildings have been condoed, meaning they're just separate tenant units. And then on the right, under option 1, this is the area that they are proposing to lease. And the floor plan was provided with your packet. As you can see, there's really not a lot of detail on this, and that's because their equipment is very interchangeable and modular, and they can move it and create different types of courses very easily, and that's really part and parcel of their business. For the floor plan, basically what they're showing are 2 restrooms, one at each end. One of the restrooms on the right-hand side is proposed to be removed. And then the squares that they're showing in this location here and this location here are specifically called out for some of their equipment and areas where they would have activities taking place. For Ninja Warrior, they allow folks anywhere from ages 4 and up. They offer fitness and training classes. They have a capacity for up to 70 people per class. They anticipate that there will be 2 to 3 staff people on site at all times when the business is open. Their office, or their hours of operation, they are proposing to be open each day of the week. Primarily, the busiest times for them are Friday evenings, Saturdays, and Sundays. They actually operate 2 other similar businesses, one in Eden Prairie and one in Woodbury. So this would be their 3rd Conquer's Ninja Warrior facility. And we're excited to have that here in Burnsville. The hours of operation are Monday through Friday from noon to 9 p.m., Tuesdays from 4 in the afternoon to 9 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, Saturday 9 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., and Sunday 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. There are additional businesses in the facility. One is Regalwood, which is a warehouse facility only. And then I think it's Ascali, which is an office warehouse. And they have been notified of the application, as well as other tenants and folks within 350 feet. And we did receive one call from the owner of the building just to the south, and they just really were interested in what the proposal was. I sent them the information and have had no other contact with regard to the application. In terms of the use itself, when we're really the major factor is considering parking, if you will. And this site does have quite a bit of parking. Again, we're talking about the north piece here, which I think is basically this. So they have parking through here. There are 2 entrances off of Corporate Center Drive, both east and west. So you can get vehicles in. Again, if they're coming in for deliveries, they're coming through here and making the delivery at this location here on the site. With the information that was provided, the fire marshal indicates that he believes that the occupancy will be about 156 at maximum occupancy. In terms of our parking standards, we have to look at the number of people based on fire marshal's occupancy calculations. The site has 126 parking stalls that are available, and that's everything to the north. The parking for all 3 uses, the 2 existing uses and the sports performance facility, is between 67 and 69 spaces. So they have an additional 43 spaces in addition. So they are well parked, or there is availability for parking. In terms of the conditions, we have a couple of conditions that we are recommending with this. Number 1, and this is very similar to what we did with the Berean Baptist project, that this application, they will need to get a building permit to do their interior renovation, and then at that point in time, the specific parking will be determined based on the specific calculations that the fire marshal will make on the use, maybe plus or minus, but definitely should fall well within the parking available on the property. We also are recommending an additional condition that, since this is a multi-tenant building, they provide a comprehensive sign plan for the building, because we do not have one that was done within the past 5 years, and they will need a sign permit for exterior signage on the building. And the last item would be that the conditions of the previous approved planned unit developments and conditional use permits shall remain in full force and effect. And with that, we have representation from the applicant who is here to answer questions. The commission has questions, and I am available and will stand for questions as well.
Thank you, Ms. Garros. Commissioners, questions for staff? Commissioner Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Garros, can you bring up for us, please, the hours of operation?
I don't believe I have them on
Okay,
the slide.
if
They're
you can
in the-
repeat them for me.
Yes.
Oh, if you have Monday through Friday, 12 noon to 9 p.m.
Yes,
Then you have Tuesday, 4 to 9 p.m. We need to do some wordsmith there, and Monday through Friday includes Tuesday.
It's basically, Tuesday would be separate, so it'd be Monday, then Wednesday, Thursday,
That's
and
right.
Friday.
We need to make that correction.
Connection.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Benke.
Yeah, Deb, the parking has me a little confused here. I mean, it does appear that there's plenty of extra. I guess the only reason I'm asking is because of the problems that happened at the warehouse, Flyball Warehouse. And
I think for the volleyball warehouse, the difference being that there is much larger, area for the volleyball
right, and
service than is
that's
being.
sort of what I was trying to clarify here, is that the building there can contain way more people than what the parking lot can handle.
Yes,
Done.
yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Levy.
I'm looking at I think the floor plan, and do I take it that the entrances to this new facility are all on the north side?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
the primary parking would be along that north
Yes.
lot, not
Yes,
so much on the west side?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? No. Okay. I'll hold the public, I'll let the applicant come up. Why don't you come up and give us your name and address for the record? Give you a chance to,
Like the home address or?
your company's address is
Okay.
fine, what you're representing.
Jake Marshman with Concord Ninja Warrior. Located, our business address is 10925 Excelsior Boulevard, Hopkins, Minnesota, 55343.
Welcome this evening, I think, I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
you
you,
coming and
everybody, for being
telling
here.
us.
Thank you.
I don't think we've got a lot of questions. Why don't we use this as an opportunity for you to tell our viewing audience a little bit about your
Sure.
business and what
To
you
go into a little more detail of the parking and how our operation actually works. So during the weekdays, like traditional gyms, the evenings are more busy. So we do open at noon, but it's, unless we're having some groups in there, corporate events, or even field trip of some sort, it's usually 1 or 2 vehicles coming in, not one person per vehicle. So daytime hours during the week are relatively light in regards to traffic. Evenings, obviously, it gets a little more busy, but again, not to the point. We usually run all our classes are weeknights, so, and that is limited to 15 per. This facility is going to be our biggest to date, so we will offer a little bit bigger classes. But as we add classes, it's in the business model not to necessarily have our classes too big. So the parking in the area is more than enough for what we're proposing, or even if we were full, it would be more enough. So on weekends, those are busier times. We do classes, we have open gym times, we do groups and some parties, stuff like that. So Friday evening, Saturday, Sundays are our busiest time. Again, a lot of people carpool because it might be families or groups that, so we don't get a ton of traffic just based on they're not coming individually like you would see at, say, your bigger box gyms where you're just one person come out. So more than enough parking from what we see. Any questions on that, I guess?
Other questions for the applicant?
Yep.
Commissioner Singh?
I think I read some in the background information that food that is brought in will be coming from restaurants.
Local establishment.
But then I
yeah.
also saw there, Ms. Garris says that some preparation will be done on site.
They had indicated that they will be ordering in, they're not going to be producing
Yeah.
any food or, having a kitchen, anything of that sort.
That's what I was trying to,
It
if
Yeah.
will
you're
be
gonna
catered in.
prepare on
Yeah,
site.
we're definitely not in the kitchen or restaurant business, and that we completely want to stay out of that. So it's a gym, but if groups want to bring in catered food or something like that, outside of any major events, but it's just ordering pizza and stuff like that for smaller groups.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Commissioner Singh. Thank you. We appreciate the application, and any other questions of us?
No, we're just excited to get rocking on it and
All right.
appreciate your time.
Thank you for coming
All
down.
goes
Thank
well.
you.
Welcome to Burnsville.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, and at this point, I will open the public hearing and ask anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this item to step up to the podium and give us your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, further questions or comments?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Benke.
just observing that, but for the PUD, this would be an administrative approval, correct, Deb?
Would need a conditional use permit.
Still would?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
But it just happened to be line itemed out in the PUD.
Correct.
very good. That's
All
it.
right, Commissioners, I would stand for a motion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Benke.
Mr. Chair, I would propose that the Planning Commission recommend to City Council approval of the PUD amendment to allow the Sports Performance Training Center for Ninja Warrior at 3203 Corporate Center Drive, subject to the following three, and we do want to renumber those. 1, 2, 3. The background says 111.
Oh, sorry about that.
I see yours is correct here. Three conditions.
Second,
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Benke. It's been seconded by Commissioner Singh. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. And I'm sorry, Ms. Garrels, I did not ask you prior to the meeting. This will go to in front of the city council
Next week on the,
May 16th.
May
Thank you.
16th. Thank you, Ms. Dean. It'll be in front of the city council. Good luck, and thank you for coming in this evening.
thank you.
That brings us to updates. Item number 6. Commissioners, any updates this evening? Hearing none. Not sure what that was. Staff, any updates?
The next Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee meeting is focused on transportation, and that will be May 15th at 6 PM here at City Hall. And then the next Planning Commission meeting is May 22nd.
Thank you. Commissioners, I always try to say thank you, but I appreciate everyone's time with the background and the information this evening. And I hope everyone has a safe drive home this evening. With that, I would stand for a motion for adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Singh, second by Commissioner Benke. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay, and the motion carries. Travel safe. Thank you.